Mr. Avinash Shaligram, who works as an HVACR advisor with DroneVionics Pvt Limited, an IIT Bombay startup. He has more than 2 decades of industrial experience in HVAC&R field, having worked in R&D, design and manufacturing. His special interests are chillers, compressors, heat exchangers, alternate refrigerants, etc. Coming from an engineering background, Mr. Avinash is MTech and has teaching experience of more than a decade at PG level. He was also a former professor of mechanical engineering. Mr. Avinash was the past president of ISHRAE Thane Chapter and is currently chair of Technical Group Refrigerants. Today, Mr. Avinash will give us a brief view of future of refrigerants. So delegates, let's welcome Mr. Avinash.
First of all, it is nice to be part of this panel discussion. I think it's going on for 1 hour and we have had a good interaction. So I will, actually refrigerants is my passion, area of passion, like most of us in panel today. So I will cover it in a very brief manner. What is the future of refrigerants, what I, perceive or what I see. So first of all, I always say, like in Hindi movies, we have a flashback. So, I will take you back maybe 30 years or even 40 years, how the life in our HVAC field was simple and it was so easy. So you can see it was very limited, and the choice was very clear and simple. I have listed down, I think I have covered every product, right from domestic refrigerators, freezers, even up to 1960s, late 60s, the window air conditioner used to use R12. Okay, then the DX systems, of course, small unitary package units R22, chiller packages R22, centrifugal chillers R11. And as we already talked, even when I talked about the R717 ammonia, ice plants, industrial refrigeration, even R502. I think, those from the refrigeration, is a very good azeotrope. Azeotrope is it behaves like a single refrigerant, single component. Actually, it's a mixture, but it behaves. So R502 was used as a refrigerant. Then PU foam blowing agent, which also is very important, was R11. Then we have had, even now, when vaccines, or blood storage, something like -60 or -80, ultra low temperature cascade systems, we had R502 and R13, high stage and low stage. Marine air conditioning was R113. Then the important thing, all these refrigerants, as we have been talking, were all class A1, of course, except ammonia, which was never A1, but which will remain like that. And the excellent solvent was in the manufacturing carbon tetrachloride. Even R11 had good cleaning properties. And the best part, they were all mineral oil, no POE or no PAG, none of those synthetic oils. So this was, I would say, almost the past now. It is past. So what was the turning point? What changed the scenario? What changed the scenario? So as you can see, these are the two gentlemen, actually professors, and his postdoc assistant, Professor Sherwood Rowland, and his assistant postdoc Mario Molina. They discovered this what we all know, ozone depletion, the chlorine atoms causing ozone depletion. In fact, they were awarded Nobel Prize for their discovery in 1985, and which, of course, then later we all know, which led to signing of Montreal Protocol and all that. But this was, I still consider, as the turning point. Of course, now currently what we are facing is a altogether different challenge, but this was the starting point of change from CFC to non-CFC. Now this slide is like when I give lecture or to the students, it's like a quiz, as you can see. The multiple types, right from CFC, all of us know chlorofluorocarbon, HCFC, HFCs, HCs, hydrocarbons, HFO we talked of. There is also a class, I am sure, like 1233ZD, which has very, very low, I think it has in the range of 0.003 ODP, but that is HCFO. So that is hydrochlorofluoroolefins. And of course, the most important is the 400 series and the 500 series, the blends, okay, of, as we were talking, HFC, HFO, mostly. These are the blends which are currently the, mostly being introduced and being considered for adoption in the products. Now we, because we are in India, R22 has been including 134A, which is current, but R22 has been one of the most dominant refrigerant, I would say. So it is definitely it is under phase out. And as you can see, the timeline, we are now already close to 2025. So we are almost more than 50%. So HCFC phase out schedule, R22 particularly, is going on, and I'm sure it is almost like on the way out, but there is no single clear alternative. Of course, there are alternatives which are being used, but it is not single clear alternative, and technology is not fully absorbed. But these are the developments and challenges which are coming, which are happening. So what are the current major issues? We talked about it during the discussion. First of all, the non-ODP, non-ozone depleting refrigerants, mainly HFCs, are found to possess the high GWP. I personally feel, we keep talking about, even today's our, discussion is on low GWP, but that is what is this low, whether it is 150 or 675 like R32 or what? I mean, it is definitely a matter of, discussion. What is this low GWP? Then new refrigerants with lower GWP have higher flammability characteristics. And then we are already signed the Kigali Amendment. India is already a signatory, which was, in October 2016, on which HFCs will be phased down. That is the major difference. CFCs were phased out, whereas HFC will be phased down under the Kigali Amendment. Now, particularly for Indian market, as even Dr. Jha was mentioning, I also mentioned the availability and cost both of new gases is an issue. Another major challenge I mentioned earlier about training of the service technicians, specifically the A2L and A3, in handling of the new refrigerant. That is important and very critical for us in Indian conditions. This, again, slide shows, it's like I have summarized what are the currently used refrigerants. What you can see in the red font, they are what are presently used in India. I have categorized the HCFC, HFC, low GWP, and of course the growth of the sector. When I say RAC, that's the window and split air conditioner that we all know has the highest growth. Then the ducted units, VRF, is also very much has been used. I think, not in my times, it was all chillers, but last, I would say 10 to 15 years, it is a major product being used. Then chillers, of course, we all know. So low GWP, there are some question marks. There is, it's still under development. When I mention question mark, means especially in India, it is being under development. Refrigeration, we talked of R404A. Sanjay Rao also mentioned about 448 and 449. These are the alternative, because 404A, as you all know, I think its GWP is above 4,000, which is, one of the highest. So it has to be phased down. So, and then the water cooler, deep freezer, where R290, 600A, which are hydrocarbons, very much being used. So these are the developments which are still going on. Some of them are under commercialization. Of course, in industrial refrigeration ice plants, we have mentioned R717 ammonia is the most commonly used refrigerant. And this also again summarizes the similar, the ASHRAE 34, A1 to A3, A1, A2L, A2, A3, and then similarly B1 to B3. So we are, earlier A2L was not there, but ASHRAE introduced class A2L specially for the new low GWP category of refrigerants, mainly the HFOs, which is, we talked of 1, 2, 3, 4 YF is A12, but all, as I mentioned, all the earlier, whether it is R11, 12, 22, 134, all have been A1 refrigerants. Now we have to tackle, or we have to keep these challenges for A2L refrigerants. So yes, and then the indirect effect, what was mentioned even during the discussion. When we say indirect effect, it is due to the energy consumption, because in a country like India, the major source of power generation is, we all know, is thermal coal power plant. So every kWh we consume, is releases CO2 in the power plant. So the indirect effect is actually more important. So we talked of concept like LCCP and TV, total equivalent warming impact, and there is also life cycle climate performance, which are being considered while selecting a refrigerant product or system. These terms, which indicate CO2 equivalent, are however completely dependent on the particular application and product, and they cannot be generalized. Okay, this maybe the legibility is little poor, but this shows the HFC phase down schedule as per the Kigali Amendment, and India comes under what is called Article 5 Group 2, okay, which are developing countries, and our timeline is like this. Our freeze is starting in 2028, that's 5 years down the line, and of course the final 10%, because it is phased down, is 2047. There is, I mean, time wise it is more than 20 years, 25 years, but things happen fast. We have seen when CFCs were phased out. So I also foresee when HFCs will be phased down, it will be fast regulations, international regulation, of which India is already a signatory. So this is the Kigali Amendment. So I mean, in a summary or in a conclusion, choice of a refrigerant has become complex due to multitude of factors. I feel Indian manufacturers are, we are under dual pressure, basically to adhere to international environmental regulations as well as to keep the product cost down so as to compete in the market. From an Indian standpoint, hydrocarbons hydrocarbons could be a good alternative provided safety issues are addressed fully. So again, training of the technicians to handle A2L and A3 refrigerants is important to ensure smooth transition. And a good way for a system refrigerant selection is to use TV analysis. So I think this is all what I wanted to actually. There are two references which I will not open right now. It's a very short time. But one is my own paper with my teacher colleagues, which I had presented at a conference. The second is we also already have ISHRAE position document on refrigerants, which is downloadable. If you go to ISHRAE website, www.ishrae.in, you can download it and it will give you, what are the various alternatives for different sectors. It's a good document. It is of 2021, so which will be updated maybe by next year or so, because these things keep on, there are a lot of developments happening. So this is what I wanted to cover in my presentation. Thank you.